All right, people, welcome back to another video in the Mitre-Attack series here. So we continue the remote services technique T1021. So there are 8 in total. This is the 6th one. This time we cover Windows Remote Management, WinRM. That thing is somewhat well known. Also well known from a hacker's perspective. So let's get right into it. We are still in lateral movement, as you can see here, and platforms now is only Windows. And just be aware that whenever there is an attack technique that is specifically targeting Windows, we gotta ask ourselves whether Windows at some point uh, might be a security threat for our company. And what I never understood is why our whole society is so heavy on that one technology. So every company that I've ever seen is fully relying on Windows. And that's a big issue. And that's why cyber criminals are targeting their platform. The issue with Windows, as you will see, and you have seen over the course of the techniques here, that Windows has severe issues in its architecture. It is very uh, there is a reason why there are so many cyber attacks involved with Windows. And WinRM is one of those examples that I have been seeing again and again and again. It is being used by cyber criminals because it has capabilities to. And as you can see, why is it so popular? These are the capabilities here. Run executable, modify registry, modify services. That's what it does. And that's why it is an admin tool, but I feel like it is more often used by cyber criminals than by admins. I don't know. But that's what it is. WinRM, big issue. You cannot really do much about it, so we will see that in a moment. But that's what's happening here. WinRM, another administrative tool. That's your takeaway for you. And the other thing is WinRM can be used as a method of remotely interactive with the Windows Management Instrumentation. We covered that. WMI. That's another powerful admin tool, and you can just access it from WinRM. So as you can see, this would be a cascade of hacker techniques enabled. So there are multiple ways how to get to WMI, and once an attacker can do that, he has a lot of opportunities all of a sudden to breach your system. And not just do lateral movement, they can do much more with that. They can do straight up data exfiltration, they can create accounts, they can do so much once they have access to that. And luckily, it's only a Windows issue at this point, because there is a simple recommendation. I mean, you can think for yourself what that recommendation might be, right? Yeah, but then the procedure examples here, you see, again, just a whole bunch of, you have software groups, you have campaigns, so they are using that stuff. Here, Cobalt Strike can use WinRM to execute a payload on a remote host. Well, how great is that? Executing payloads remotely just by using WinRM. Great, right? And this is what happened. That's why this is one of the remote services that has been part of my job quite a few times by now. When it comes to SecOps, detecting it, reacting to it. So what is the mitigation? So the first one, disable WinRM service. Yes, sure, but you are not going to. This is not going to happen. Okay. So in any slightly bigger company, you will have some admins and they use WinRM for their daily job. You cannot disable that feature easily. Then network segmentation. Yes, segment your network, and when something happens in one segment, at least it's not affecting your entire network. Good job. And privilege account management. So here it says lock down critical enclaves with separate WinRM accounts and permissions. They call it enclaves. I like that word, so I don't see that often. But critical enclaves, that simply means, okay, segment also your privileges. don't allow WinRM to be used by anybody. That's a complicated topic. So in a small company, yes, you have a quick oversight of what is going on. But now think about a multinational concern, a big company. Konzern is the English word, the German word, the English word would say a big corporation, okay, multinational, and a lot of users, a lot of administrators. And there it becomes quite difficult to have a good overview of your network and of your infrastructure, and then lock down, as they say here, these critical enclaves. Well, you have to identify them first, and that's a very difficult task, even for slightly medium-sized companies. But the mitigation recommendation is still correct. I'm just saying that in real life you won't achieve any of these mitigations. Network segmentation maybe, but disabling it or doing effective privilege account management, that's difficult. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't attempt it. Okay, it is expected to be difficult, and don't agree on people suggesting, oh, that's a task for 1 week. No, those are projects that will span over the entire year. That's a better estimation for how effortful this will be. That's like a full-time job for one person for an entire year, and then maybe you have the privilege account management sorted out a little bit. In bigger companies anyways. And then they have the detection strategy here. Well, it's straightforward. Just monitor WinRM. Whenever you have this executed or access to WMI, and here they also say launch child processes, that's what you gotta look out for. Basically monitor every execution of WinRM. That's what you need to do. And you also can, what they propose here, working with chains. So there is a log-on activity and then a process creation within a short window. This would be a typical activity. Don't fall for that trap here, short temporal window. So short means, okay, it's like 10 seconds or what. Don't fall for that trap in SecOps, creating these detection rules that rely too much on short windows. The hacker knows that. And an APT is not in a hurry. So they will log on, they will sit for 10 hours, and only then they will create processes. This is what APTs do. They are not in a hurry, and they try to fly under the radar. So don't fall for that trap here, looking for anything in a short temporal window. This might be one attack pattern, yes, but if you want to catch a broader adversary behavior, also watch for wider windows and don't build detection chains that in reality never apply. Your rule simply will not detect anything and you will be feeling secure, but the reality is the rule was just misconfigured. The recommendation is still correct, yes, but just be aware, short temporal window, that's a trap for beginners. Alright, let's get the references then. So let's see what catches my eye here. So you have a lot of Microsoft stuff that's Windows management instrumentation. They describe how it works. Then you have Janssen abusing cloud services to fly under the radar. Okay. Strategic Cyber LLC, Cobalt Strike Manual. Okay. Symantec, what do they do? Raindrop, new malware discovered in SolarWinds investigation. Yeah, SolarWinds, it's one of those topics that was really big at some point. I never really read into that stuff so much. I did never understand the name of it. SolarWinds. What does it have to do with solar and sun? It's just a name. Really, really confusing stuff. But it never appealed to me. Still, you gotta protect with SolarWinds is part of your responsibility in one way or another. If you have been affected, you gotta deal with it. But luckily, the companies that I have been involved with never had any connections to SolarWinds at all, so I didn't have to deal with it so much. But I keep reading about it. Well, here, National Security Agency, NSA, what do they write? Spotting the adversary with Windows event log monitoring. That's interesting. At least one interesting source. The other ones are not very revealing, I would say. But yeah, that's it. So we went through Windows remote management. Just be aware that this is one of those things that it's a must do. Okay, you must monitor that within your SecOps. And if you don't, you will just miss out a lot of adversary activities. So at this point, this is one of those remote services that you really want to monitor. And as you have seen in the course of this video, the mitigation techniques, they are somewhat straightforward, difficult but straightforward. And the detection technique is also straightforward. You can just see whenever Windows remote management is executed. You can see that process and then you monitor it. And then you just watch closely who is executing that kind of stuff. Is it a known administrator? Well, okay, fine. Or is it just a regular user account that never executed WinRM ever before? So that's highly suspicious then. Be familiar with your environment, and then you can detect WinRM in a suspicious setting. That's all what there is to know about that. So far, so good, people. Then thank you for watching. Thank you for spending time on cybersecurity. It is time well spent. And see you in the next video. Goodbye.